Wow, what a lively way to start the morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I'm Rebecca Howard, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am today's worship associate. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, please, we'd love to get to know you. Please sign our guest sign-in book in the foyer. You can also speak with our greeter, Mike McNaughton, Reverend Tina, or myself. I'm the chair of the membership committee, excuse me. If you want more information about our church, talk to one of us. If you're joining us online, I never know where to, oh, there's the camera. Please sign our virtual guest book. The link is located in the notes below the video. You can also submit a virtual joy or sorrow to be read next week in our service. To learn more about our spiritual enrichment programs for all ages, please feel free to talk to Elizabeth Portillos, our lifespan spiritual enrichment assistant and teacher who's sitting up here at the kids' table. For kids here in our service, we have our activity table up front. We ask that kids use whisper voices to talk at this table. Kids can also stay seated with their parents. Parents and kids can also sit in our library room to hear the service. We have a nursery for young kiddos 0 to 3 years. Sarah Hamoud is our nursery coordinator and can check in your younger kiddos. The nursery's down the hall. We have our Candles of Community area over here and in the back. You're invited to come up during the first hymn, or you can come now, or any time before the prayer time to light a candle. And if you would also like to, you're welcome to write your joy or sorrow in the book. Please go ahead and silence your cell phones this morning. Mine's in the back, and I'm not sure I did that, as we begin our worship service together. You're now invited to greet your neighbor by introducing yourself. If you'd rather just wave and not shake hands, that's okay too. And I'll call us back with a chime. So we have some announcements this morning. Church announcements can be read weekly through your email. They can be found on our website, on our monthly printed flyers, many of which are on the table in the foyer, or the back of your bulletin, and on our social media pages. Today we're highlighting a few announcements. Today after the service, join us for a forum here in the sanctuary given by David Koblenz, titled Figures on a Landscape, Running the Hard Rock 100-Mile Endurance Run in Colorado's San Juan Mountains. David Koblenz will be speaking to us about his adventures in ultra running, the logistics of running long distances in the mountains, the training required, and what actually happens during the event. So go get some coffee and snacks and come back in here after the service. The church choir is starting up after a summer hiatus. If you're interested in singing in the church choir this year, the first practice will be Wednesday, August 20th at 7:15 p.m. in the fellowship hall. Talk to Nyla for more information about joining the choir. And she would like to hear from you beforehand so she can have things ready for you. Next Saturday, August 16th, join us here in the sanctuary at 6 p.m. for a summer movie night. We'll be watching The Wizard of Oz, the original version from 1939 with Judy Garland. This is for all ages, and popcorn will be served, as long as they don't think the monkeys, flying monkeys, are too scary. On Sunday, August 17th, after the service, we'll have a sandwich buffet potluck. Please bring made-ahead sandwiches. You may also choose to bring vegetable trays or dessert, and please consider helping set up and clean up. Also on Sunday, August 17th, the membership committee will be starting this year's UU 101 classes. Grab a sandwich and then join us at noon to 1:30 in classroom 4, which again is down the hall, to learn about our UU shared values, UU history, and our Soul Matters small groups that you can join. This is the first of a series of presentations which will continue once a month through early December with a new member recognition service to follow. If you're new to this church or a longtime member or anywhere in between, you are welcome to join this class. And our last announcement is for Knife and Fork UU dinner group signups. Email Vitaly, who's here today, or Renae, to get on the list now or sign up in the foyer starting today and for the next couple weeks. I think that's it for this morning.
Good morning. My name is the Reverend Tina DeYoe, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am the minister here at this church. So this is our call to worship today. We come together as a community every Sunday to pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion, calling us to be our better selves. Our worship theme for the month of August is leadership. So yesterday, August 9th, was also International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. So today we are emphasizing the leadership of Indigenous peoples of this world. The models of leadership that Indigenous peoples bring to us are those models of stewardship, partnership, community care, and more. These models are usually grounded in knowledge and wisdom of our sacred Mother Earth and 7-generational thinking. These models can teach us a different way of building a just and sustainable world now and for the 7 generations and more that follow. Also, as Unitarian Universalists, we have a history of being leaders, especially of reform and resistance. This leadership is reflected in our UUA Covenant of Shared Values, right there. And our congregational covenant also reflects our shared values, and this was voted on at our last annual congregational meeting in May and reflects our UUA shared values and speaks to our specific context. This year, we begin the journey of living into our congregational covenant together. We all can be leaders in this work. Our community is not bound by creed, but by relationships grounded in covenant. So we are going to do something different today, and you can stay seated, and we're going to recite together an abbreviated version of our covenant. So let us recite this abbreviated version together now. Guided by our UU shared values, we covenant to be open to all, be kind, trust and be trustworthy, strive to understand, speak thoughtfully, work to resolve conflict, accept democratic outcomes, be a steward. By this covenant, we shall grow our hearts. So now we will light our flaming chalice, the symbol of our shared faith. And Roman is coming up to light our chalice, and Rebecca has our words.
And also, Roman is 10, and he likes to draw and play baseball. With humility and courage born of our history, we are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all souls are welcome as blessings and the human lives whole and human family lives whole and reconciled. With this vision in our hearts and minds, we light our chalice. This is from the UUA Leadership Council. And now let us rise in body and or spirit for our opening hymn, number 1021, Lean on Me. the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Please be seated.
So I would like to invite the young and young at heart to come up for a special time for all ages. Anyone who has brought their backpack today, and teachers, if you want to come on up here today too, because you're going back to school too, anyone who works in our schools. So come on up, bring your backpack if you brought it. And we're going to have an awesome backpack blessing for y'all today.
Is this working? Yeah.
Is that working? Yep. All right. Okay, so even if your backpack is at home, we'll still bless it from here, from afar today, okay? So today in the service, we are talking about leadership. There are so many different kinds of leaders in our world. And I think a lot of y'all are leaders too. Raise your hand if you're a leader. Yeah, maybe some people. Yeah. So as you go back to school, right? Raise your hand if you're excited to go back to school. Whoa! What? I was always excited to go back to school. What are you talking about? It's going to be fun. Y'all will have a good time, I'm sure. And maybe also hard times, challenging times too. So as you go back to school this year, we want you to take Unitarian Universalist words of leadership and love with you to start your new school year. So Elizabeth made these backpack blessing keychains. You want to show them one? Woo. For your backpacks, so you can remember your church community and all of the awesome things you learned here as you start your school journey this year. So Elizabeth is going to read some of the words.
Got breathe, caring, justice, community, hope, empathy.
And love, too.
Love is for sure in there. There's more, yeah.
And so Elizabeth said if you want to, you get yours and you want to trade it with your friend, you can also do that if you want.
If you want to trade with me after the service, you can come trade with me.
Yes. So we are excited for you as you start your learning journey this year. And Elizabeth and I are now going to bless you and your backpacks, near or far, right now for your school journey this year. So this is a backpack blessing written by Karen Johnston. Even when you are away from your church home, you carry the heart of Unitarian Universalism with you wherever you go.
May you feel curiosity all your days.
May your imagination catch fire.
May you find courage when it is necessary.
May confusion lead to better questions.
May you feel compassion toward those around you and they towards you.
And may you feel heard and seen, and may you hear and see others.
May you speak up for those who are not heard, who are not seen.
As your spirit's home, we are made stronger when you guys share with us what you learn. So we ask that you bring back what you learn to this place. Do y'all think you can bring back what you're learning to our community here? Yeah? Raise your hand, yeah? If you agree, please say, we will. We will. Awesome. So thanks for coming up. Grab your backpack blessing keychain, and you can put it on your backpack for this year. Thank you, guys, and have a good start of the school year. Woo!
Our offering in August is taken up on behalf of LA Cares Food Bank. LA Cares is our local food bank. In June, they wrote an article in the Daily Post or the Reporter, not sure which, calling for support in these uncertain times when food assistance is being cut. The federal government has cut SNAP benefits and has cut the funding that the Food Depot Food Bank receives, which directly affects LA Cares. Please consider giving today in order to keep people fed here in our community. Please feel free to use the QR code, which is up there, or for the Givelify app on the screen. Thank you for sharing your monetary gifts this morning. May what you give bring you joy. Thank you, that was lovely. Thank you for your generosity this morning. May your gifts help people here in our community who are facing food insecurity.
So during this time, you are invited to come up to our candles of community space. If you haven't already, you can light a candle and write a joy or sorrow in the book. Joys and sorrows that are written will then be read out loud. And during this time, you can remain seated and join in our meditation song, number 391, Voice Still and Small, and we'll sing it through twice. candles have been lit today for learning. Joys of learning. Prayers for all the victims. May they be heard and believed. And prayers for Gaza. May all of these prayers, spoken, unspoken, those that remain in the stillness of our hearts, be lifted up in this space now.
Hi, I'm
Thank you, Mary Frances, Wendi, and Yelena. Your songs have been beautiful this morning. Thank you. So for today's sermon time, we are going to begin with a story. We will begin with a story about a different style of leadership from the rich cultural tradition of the Anishinaabe. Thank you. Say again. Anishinaabe, thank you. Shared by the late Richard Wagamis, who was an Anishinaabe, thank you. Canadian author, Anishinaabe, I'm going to keep repeating this correctly, Anishinaabe, Canadian author and journalist from the Wabaseemoong Independent Nations in northwestern Ontario. Richard, this author, passed away in 2017. He was a well-known author, and one of his well-known books, titled Indian Horse, was made into a film. So this story is about a different style of leadership, as told by Richard Wagamis and the ancestors before him. And it goes like this. A young man is determined to become a great warrior for his people. Believing that the path to leadership lay in harnessing the power of the animal kingdom's most revered creature, he seeks the wisdom of an elder. The elder, in turn, promises to bestow this power if the young man can identify the animal that is held in the highest esteem in nature. The young man considers the attributes of various formidable animals, each a symbol of power that he wishes for himself as leading his people. He comes up with names and ideas that evoke strength and fearlessness and traditional hallmarks of leadership. The most obvious answer: the grizzly bear commands the most respect in the animal world. The elder smiles. Guess again, he says. For despite the immense courage and ferocity of the grizzly, there is one who commands even greater respect. The lesson continues. The young man, so sure of himself, names the wolverine, the eagle, the cougar, the wolf, and the bison. But each time, the old one simply smiles and tells him to guess again. Eventually, the boy gives up. The elder continues. Not many know the most respected of animals because the most respected one is seldom seen and even more seldom mentioned. The most respected of animals is the tiny, sightless mole. Because it's constantly in touch with Mother Earth. The mole is able to learn from her every day. The mole learns about what happens above the surface by listening to and feeling the vibrations of the earth. For the mole to know if there's danger lurking, the mole always goes to the surface to learn what created the vibration. And that's the answer. That's why the tiny mole is the animal among all animals that commands the greatest amount of respect. Because even though she might put herself at great danger, the mole always takes the time to investigate what she feels. It is a creature of quiet influence whose leadership comes from a place of deep knowing and understanding, from the ability to listen and to respond with care and consideration. The young man learns that to be a leader is not to overpower, but to be keenly aware, to be attuned to the needs and movements of all those around him, whether friend or foe. He discovers that true respect is earned through a thoughtful approach to the world, through the ability to perceive the subtle needs of people and respond with compassion and empathy. So this is a powerful story that teaches us that true leadership transcends the traits of dominance and control. This type of leadership teaches listening as being important, as well as being aware of yourself and others. This type of leadership demonstrates an importance of being a learner and observer through every step we take and every vibration we feel. We can be leaders by respecting ourselves, each other, and our Mother Earth. This type of leadership cultivates emotional awareness. This ancient tale is a reminder that the most profound leadership is quiet, thoughtful, and deeply connected to those it serves. So the old story of power and leadership that currently exists and that we have been taught here in the Western world is one of a hierarchy of strong and weak. It is one of authoritarianism. Power and leadership are grounded in competition. It is a system that values individualism and fortitude. It is a style of power and leadership that withholds praise and encouragement. Admitting one's own vulnerabilities and mistakes is seen as weakness. This old story of power and leadership dominates, interrupts, and overrides. We can do power and leadership differently. I like to call this different style of power and leadership, this doing power differently, the old story of power and leadership, the style of leadership and power that existed before colonization. This style of leadership is exhibited by many of the indigenous peoples of this world. And it is imperative that we learn to integrate these lessons of leadership and power from our indigenous siblings into our societal models of power and leadership today. We must do this work together in order to create a more peaceful and equitable world for all people. We must continue this work for the 7 generations and more that will come after us. We must continue this work for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. The characteristics of leadership and power that come to us from our indigenous siblings are those mentioned in the Anishinaabe story. Other characteristics of leadership and power that come to us from the many indigenous communities throughout the world include these ones here: collaboration, partnership, a value on relationships, empathy, and communication. These styles of leadership and power give praise and encouragement generously. Leaders are able to admit vulnerabilities and mistakes, and these leaders listen, process, and are inclusive of others. So as your minister, I have been serving with you in this role for a year now. In this year, we have set a foundation that is grounded in our relationships with one another. We are grounded in our congregational covenant that we recited earlier. We are beginning to build connections with one another. And we are collaborating and doing this work together. We covenant to listen and understand one another. We have to admit our mistakes and vulnerabilities with one another. Nobody is perfect, and we are going to make mistakes in doing this relational work with one another, and I will make mistakes too. I already have. In our worship services, we are modeling a spirit of leadership that is collaborative. There have been a myriad of different voices and collaborators up here in our worship services, and that will continue. Many of you have been up here. I value each and every one of you here in this community. And I am so glad to be serving alongside you all in this work to create a more inclusive and safe community and world for all people. So let us stay on this path together of relearning old story leadership and power from our Indigenous ancestors and siblings. And let us do leadership and power differently. And Mimi Adams is going to now share with us how some Indigenous cultures around the world approach leadership.
Hello, I am Mimi Adams, and I go by she, them, and I am the chair of the worship committee. Tina was talking about how there have been many people up here sharing in worship. And I'm up here so often, you're probably getting sick of me. Riffing off Tina, I entitled this message, "The New Older Old Way of Leadership." In Indigenous cultures around the world, storytelling and the oral tradition have been important components of teaching and learning, of community cooperation and connection, of maintaining cultural values and history, and of remembering and understanding one's own place within kinship, community, and creation. With that in mind, I will share a relatively brief version of the story of Haudenosaunee, of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. Haudenosaunee meaning people of the Longhouse. Often this is referred to as the Iroquois Confederacy or the League of Five Nations by outsiders. This story explains the creation of this confederacy. During the time of great conflict and upheaval, Ayanwata, a prosperous chief, lost his entire family to the cruelty and violence of a rival chief and sorcerer, Atatoro. That's a hard one. Atatoro. Atatoro was a man with a crooked body, a crooked mind, and snakes in his hair. Filled with grief and desolation, Ayanwata abandoned his ruined home and life, wandering the land, first with thoughts of vengeance, then with thoughts of sorrow, his tears flowing freely. He came upon a barren piece of land, a lake bed that Atataro had cursed into a parched, depleted crater. As Ayanwata crossed the desiccated lake bed, he gathered colored shells he found and wove them together in strands. Upon reaching the other side, he created the first wampum with the shells, which would become an integral part of history, storytelling, and trade among the Haudenosaunee. Finally, Ayanwata encountered a man crossing water in his canoe made of white stone. This was Deganawida. I looked up all the pronunciations and practiced them. The great peacemaker. Deganawida told Ayanwata of his quest to bring peace and unity to the warring tribes. Deganawida had a difficult time speaking, mumbling and stumbling over his words. And Ayanwata was a skilled and eloquent orator and storyteller. So Ayanwata became the voice for Deganawida's vision of peace. Slowly, the two men traveled among the warring nations and convinced 4 of them, the Mohawk, Oneida, Cayuga, and Seneca, to accept Daganowaga's message and the great law of peace. Jagonsasay, a woman who lived beside a warpath and invited any and all warriors from any side into her home, where they could rest in peace, free of fear. She listened to each warrior and came to understand their feelings, thoughts, and perspectives. Jagonsasay joined Daganowida and Ayanwata, sealing her role in the upcoming Union of Nations. Then they went to speak with Atotaro, despite his fearsome reputation of sorcery and violence. He resisted their overtures, angry and fearful of harsh retribution. Instead, Daganowida, Ayanwata, and Jagonsasay patiently combed the from his hair. They gently straightened the twists in his body and peacefully spoke, filling his mind with good thoughts and intentions. Atotaro was transformed and became a leader for peace. Upon Atotaro's transformation, the Onondaga Nation joined the other tribes in the great law of peace. They found a big, tall, reaching white pine tree. They called it the Great Tree of Peace, and it symbolized the great law of peace that the 5 nations agreed to. The tree's roots extended out in all 4 directions. Excuse me. Now where was I? In 4 directions, representing the paths of peace that anyone could follow. At its base, the warriors all buried their weapons of war. Who here has heard the phrase, bury the hatchet? Yep, that's where it came from. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy was born, each nation maintaining their own independence while still belonging to a larger governing body. Jagonsasay became the first clan mother. Chiefs, selected by the clan mothers for their wisdom and compassion, represented the clans of each nation in the Great Council of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which made decisions based on consensus of all the council members. The clan mothers not only selected the chiefs, but also recalled them if it was deemed necessary. They had absolute authority in this matter. The Haudenosaunee culture is considered a matriarchy because women were the true holders of power, which they delegated to many others in order to form successful communities in which all people were taken care of and valued. These 3 arms of leadership provided checks and balances to ensure no leader or branch could destroy the Confederacy with corruption and selfishness. This may sound somewhat familiar. Though the US government is partially based on the democracies and senates of old Roman civilizations, the branches of leaders dedicated to one aspect of society, keeping the other branches in check, was inspired by the Haudenosaunee and their Confederacy of Peace. Perhaps if we had wise clan mothers whose main concern is caring for citizens, supervising our societal leaders right now, things might be a little safer, different. There are many traditional power structures among different indigenous peoples of the world. Some are very hierarchical, based in hereditary lines, like the cultures of Hawaii and the Sami, I don't know how to pronounce that one, of Nordic indigenous cultures. That's because it's Nordic. Others are very diffuse, with few or no official leaders. Decisions based in consensus in community and land stewardship, but there's influence greater among people recognized to be wise, compassionate, community-centered, and kind. Not leaders, but more listened to. Like the many communities of Aboriginal Australians and the Inuit of Greenland, Alaska, and Canada. In these cultures, all genders are important and a part of the process, and the elders paramount as guides. Consistently, among most surviving Indigenous world cultures, leadership and decision-making encompasses common themes, values, and foundation. I was going to compare and contrast several Indigenous leadership structures and models by group, but that would have taken a good 4 hours because I had like 6 of them, and they were all very interesting. They took several hours of research. And although the structures of the different Indigenous structures of leadership often diverged from one culture and community to the next, the basics still tend to hold true. They are community-centric. Indigenous leadership places the needs and well-being of the community above individual interests, focusing on collective benefits and long-term sustainability. They are relationship-based. Strong relationships are fundamental, with leaders fostering trust, collaboration, and mutual respect within the community and external partners. Culture and spiritual connection. Leaders are often deeply connected to their culture, traditions, and spiritual beliefs, which guide their decisions and actions. Intergenerational responsibility. Indigenous leaders think of the impact of their decisions on future generations, striving to leave a positive legacy. Knowledge and wisdom. Leaders possess a deep understanding of their community's history, culture, and the natural world around them, often drawing on the wisdom of other elders. Accountability and transparency. Leaders are accountable to the community and operate with transparency, ensuring that decisions are made in the best interest of all. Decentralization and diffusion of authority. Indigenous leadership often involves a more distributed and less hierarchical approach, with authority and responsibility shared among various individuals and groups. And I'm just going to add, and the result of all these tends to lead to a much more egalitarian culture where everyone is valued. Today, many people are recognizing that contemporary leadership styles are changing to value partnership over might makes right hierarchy, collaborative over authoritarian, connection over competition, empathetic relations over individualism and selfishness, kindness and encouragement over criticism and cruelty, accountability over denial of mistakes, and deep listening over pronouncement. Though many think of this as a new, evolved form of leadership, the truth is that this is really just the old way of leadership. So it's the new, older, old leadership.
So let us stand in body and We end our gathering with gratitude for camaraderie, shared wisdom, goodwill, and support that we extend to each other within this community.
May we continue to bless each other with these gifts. It's on. May we continue to bless each other with these gifts, and may we reflect those blessings back out into the world as we minister to those around us. May it be so, and amen. Or amma in my language.
Please hold hands for our closing song.